What did Max say? You're the most diligent audience that registered with me. So, good evening. My name is Reuvan, as I was introduced here, and I'm going to talk about our company. I thought about a lot of different topics, but I said, let's just stick to the basics here. Okay. So ePIC Blockchain, we are based in Toronto, and we are a startup 3-4 years already, and we have been flying mostly under the radar. We are a vertically integrated company, from the chip development to ASIC rigs, all the way to enhancing your miners' fleet. So I'm going to talk about, about us a little bit. I will give you our roadmap on our three businesses, and hopefully by that time you will understand our importance to the ecosystem. So we are mostly engineers, 20 engineers from AMD and ex-AMD and Qualcomm and some other smaller companies. We are trusted, that you will see, by Intel and STMicro. Maybe I'll preempt here, and we are the design partner for Intel on their Blockscale systems. You will see that soon. We have a very strong command on the whole supply chain and operations of the semiconductor business. And that is something that is often underrated, but we have a very strong expertise there. In terms of our products, as it mentions here, so we have partnered with Intel on the Blockscale, as well as with Bitfury, a European-based company, to develop custom ASIC miners, Bitcoin miners. We have developed a number of rigs already in the field, with 2 here completed, with 3 more underway, which will be launching in Q4 this year, October, November. We are focused on the obvious parameters: efficiency, performance. We are very strong in immersion cooling and hydro, as you will see in our roadmap. In terms of the growth, we are recognized for system and fleet enhancement. You will see we have a whole roadmap for enhancing existing fleets, tens and thousands of fleets. In terms of the last point here, the superior business model, again, it's something that is underrated. We have a very close operational excellence and relationship with Qualcomm. Our CEO was actually, in his previous life, the head of operations of Qualcomm. And I think you have an appreciation who Qualcomm is and what does it take to get to that level. And we are very nimble. The 20 engineers are all based in Toronto, some of them in Vancouver, and very fast in responding. What I wanted to capture here, as I mentioned before, we were flying mostly under the radar. So the topic of this presentation is an epic transformation. And you can see, something here, where last year we were basically a single product company, the SIA coin, mostly targeting individuals and smaller businesses. You can see our transformation here. As I mentioned, the close relationship that we have, partnership that we have with Intel, developing a whole roadmap of Intel-based systems. Air-cooled, server form factor, immersion, liquid immersion, as well as water block. We have the whole roadmap for utilizing what I must say is a fantastic chip, the Intel Blockscale. We also partnered with Bitfury to build custom rigs for their 5 nanometer Samsung Bitcoin chip, and we demonstrated it in the booth as well. The third point here is in terms of fleet enhancement. We have technologies under the brand PowerPlay, power supply technologies, control board, firmware that can take your existing mining technologies and upgrade them and extend the return, the life and the return investment. And the last point, obviously, we are now more enterprise focused. So I talked a lot about this a little bit before, but just getting to the 3 vectors here, we are providing value to the miners, to you, to the miners community in basically 3 vectors. And as I mentioned before, we are vertically integrated. We have chip development, our own chip development. We have a new proof of work ASIC showing up, coming up in Q4. I cannot mention which algorithm it is, but it is one of the top 5. You can, by process of elimination, conclude what it is. It is foundational to everything we do. And we got recognition here for systems and mining rigs. So that's where the relationship and the partnership with Intel and Bitfury comes into play. The last point, but not least, is the PowerPlay technology that we developed. So we have a universal MCU board, control board with our own firmware, which we can customize to the specifics of your operation. Whether your operation is in Texas or in Norway or in Paraguay, we will customize it to your operation. I mentioned here the custom rigs. You can see we started from the SC200, which is a SIA coin. And to the top right, this you can see the Bitfury and the Intel Blockscale. We have, in fact, 4 Intel Blockscale systems on our booth here at the 153. And somewhere in the middle here, in Q4, we will be launching a mining rig based on our 12-nanometer chip. Some pictures of the Intel rig here. You can see from the bottom here, air-cooled systems, liquid immersion, as well as hydro. All of them based on the supreme, I should say, chip by Intel Blockscale. All of these chips, as you saw in the top picture there, are controlled by our control board and our firmware, which is a critical part in getting your mining operation to the level that you want. The last slide here is about our PowerPlay, and you can see the different technologies that we fall under this brand PowerPlay. So from the very top is the control board and firmware. This control board is based on the ST Micro 32-bit microcontroller 157. We have a whole level of solutions in terms of the heat extraction, the thermal. And in the bottom, we partnered with a number of power supply companies to design power supply PSUs to our specification. Yeah, a little bit too long, but this is our last slide. I look forward to meeting you in the booth 153 tomorrow. Thank you.